So right now, there's a war going on in Ukraine, and the American people are going to be a major factor, if not the major factor, in deciding how it goes. Whether or not the American government continues to send arms to Ukraine to fight off the invaders, which are Russia, which is Russia. That's everything. One of the things that America just gave to Ukraine, Abrams tanks, some of the most destructive machines humanity's ever made. What's Russia responding with? New tanks, in the sense that they weren't in Ukraine before. But I think you'll find in this next segment that new is a very, very generous term.
Are 1950s era Russian tanks headed toward Ukraine?
I didn't believe it until I saw it. T-55s traveling on Russian rail.
These tanks were developed in the mid-1950s.
This was the iconic tank of the Cold War, especially if you wanted to stop a rebellion or crush democracy-seeking dissidents.
You used a T-54, T-55 variant. The tank even had its own movie.
The Beast of War, starring Stephen Baldwin.
But as the Iraqis found out in 1991,
T-55s were great at crushing rebellions, but not so good at fighting NATO tanks.
So why is Russia bringing these out of depot?
I don't think it's to fight on the front line. They have an old 100mm gun and no reactive armor.
They wouldn't last long in a stand-up fight, but check this round out.
This is a high-explosive round for the 100mm D10 gun. A modern version of this round is used by Iran.
I think Russia's going to use the T-55s as mobile artillery.
I've said before that Russian artillery is at the end of its life.
The artillery has to be pulled off the line and sent to depot to get the barrels replaced, so I think these vehicles are going to cover while that happens. Our 1950s...
Okay. So one thing that makes that very important. The majority, and this is just an old chunk of coal's understanding, but the majority of the fighting happening on the ground in Ukraine right now involves a duel between artillery. Normally, the way artillery works is that one side has a better range or has better range than the other. That side has the artillery advantage. Both sides currently have the ability to see when and where the other side fires their artillery from. So they have the same range. So because this is a situation where Ukraine's using super old artillery, Russia's using super old artillery, they both have about the same range, and they can both see when each other fires, which means you get one artillery shot, and then your position, if you don't kill the other artillery, is going to get hit with artillery. So when he says that these Russian T-55s are going to be, even though they're old tanks, they're going to be used as mobile artillery. It is to say that's not nothing. That solves a major problem, in fact, for Russia. Even if the tanks themselves don't have the ability to reach the Ukrainian artillery, it does give them an option for attacking Ukrainians in a way that doesn't immediately expose their artillery, thus making it destroyed shortly thereafter. But why do I bring this up? Why am I showing this clip? If you'll recall, the Bradley, which we sent over, recently we sent over, because the American people were strongly behind the Ukrainians, because we showed that we give a damn. Unlike in 2014, where just nothing happened. This time we gave a damn. Because of that, Bradleys got shipped over. The Bradley killed more tanks in the Middle East in our recent journeys there than other tanks did. So the Bradley little baby fighting vehicle is now going to be there to counter these ancient Soviet tanks. That is the ripple effect that our actions here have there. And no matter what borders you were born within, we are in a different era than is like anything experienced by any generation before. Now, you can see what's happening over there. And all of us, all around the world, we have some degree of responsibility for each other, at least just basic human decency. So, stay strong. Keep encouraging your representatives to speak out on behalf of the people of Ukraine and to give them whatever they request to end this thing quickly. Because they've made it clear, it ends when Russia leaves their country. That's a reasonable demand. There have been almost no wars that I have agreed with the, what do they call it, casus belli, the cause for war in. One of the few, I mean, throughout history. I'm a Highlander. But for the list that is wars where I agree with one side joining into war, Ukraine's one of them. So if you want to help, links in the description for contacting your representatives and telling them to keep supporting Ukraine, as well as for donating to Ukrainian aid organizations if you have the means. Give it some thought. See what the Wicked community has to say.